of human trafficking because of the movie Sound of Freedom. And because of this, we want to help, and it seems overwhelming, and we just don't know what to do. Just recently, we had Life Recaptured in the classroom, and we're going to continue to figure out different ways that we can help. But do you want to do something? Is there something that you would like to be able to do to help end human trafficking? Well, today we're going to be speaking to the founder of I Am a Freedom Fighter. You can find them at iamfreedomfighter.org. And so that you can figure out how it is that you can help end human trafficking. Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I'm a certified life coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show, Classroom. If this is the first time that you're in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Well, as you know, there's so much we want to do. We want to change the world. But the reality is that the way we change the world is to start with us. And when we change, the world changes. And so as we become aware, and this awareness of human trafficking, like I said, you just want to help, but you don't know how. There are organizations, as I mentioned earlier, like Life Recaptured and others that are helping with the ending of human trafficking. One in particular is I Am a Freedom Fighter. And so today we have Jenny Pruett. She's going to share how we can help their organization and what we can do to join forces with them, to learn about training, to learn about how we can be kind of like the next step to help another person. There's so many things that we don't know. So hopefully today we will learn much more than we know today. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Jenny Pruett is here to do just that. Welcome to the classroom, Jenny. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for having me. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Well, of course. I know the first time we talked, we could have done a show right then and there. And it was just like getting to know one another. And we found through talking and communicating with one another that we had so much in common. And that is what I want to get from today's class, which is that we do have a lot in common, even with people that have been abused and trafficked in some way or another, not to the level or extent, but we can hone in onto that emotion of helplessness. And that's how I have felt about this topic. So share a little bit about your background, Jenny, and what was it that made you start this foundation?
Sure. So most recently, I have owned and operated Juice and Java Cafe over in Cocoa Beach for the last 13 years. And I recently sold it about a year ago. And while I was there, I was introduced to a documentary by one of my employees, actually. And he said, Jenny, I think we had a lot of different conversations. And he had said, I really think you need to watch this documentary. And it was from Exodus Cry, and it was called Nefarious, Merchant of Souls. And so I watched it, and I have to say it changed my life forever. I had ideas of what I thought human trafficking looked like, prostitution looked like in America, especially thinking that it was a choice that somebody has made, and that they just get out. They just decide to go to school. They just decide something different for their life. And I really had no idea the high statistics of women and children that are sexually abused at home by someone they trust and love, and that their choices were stolen. And that was really what hit me, was that we don't all have the same choices, that they're different, they're impacted differently. And from that moment on, I just really knew that God had called me to make a difference. And it was really a call to the Lord of seeking him and what can I do? Because now I know, and with knowledge, there's responsibility, and what can I do?
Well, you've done big. You've done big. So how does the idea happen where you want to do something and you felt that you were called, especially like out of the blue? I'm sure that you served coffee to a lot of people that maybe there was a judgment within you going, this is something that, you can just get out of it, snap out of it. But you realize watching that movie that it's not just that easy. And help us go through that transformation of having that judgment that it's easy to just make a choice to do it versus now I need to help this person with this choice.
Sure. Well, and I was very limited because owning a coffee shop, I was very hands-on owner. So I worked 6 days a week for, 13 years, basically. So it was a matter of trying to figure out what I could do where I was already and what I was already doing. And so at the same time that God had started to move my heart in that direction, I love to hike. I love the outdoors. And a mutual friend had said, hey, there's this organization, or this woman is doing a hike in Washington State, and she's raising money to fight human trafficking. And I was like, oh, well, sign me up. That has my name all over it. I've always wanted to go to the Cascades, and for the cause, it just had opened up in my heart. So I connected with them, and I was trying to figure out how I could raise money for my hiking campaign, because that's what you do, is you raise awareness through your friend group, your community of people, while fundraising, kind of like you would do with a marathon or any kind of event like that. And so I had thought, oh, I'm a coffee roaster. I'll roast coffee and then I'll sell the proceeds I'll sell the proceeds, and then those proceeds will go to my hiking campaign. And it quickly got a little messy and confusing with mixing my business with what I was trying to do personally. So I just kind of stuck with the coffee and selling that, what I was already doing. And I was just, realizing that by buying this coffee, something we do every single day, most of us is drink coffee. And I could drink coffee while making a difference and saving a life. So that's how it started. And it ended up becoming a brand, and we had apparel that we sold in the cafe. And basically I just had a wall that was dedicated, a brief story about how I got started, and that I just really wanted to inspire people to know that we could all do something. Buy a coffee, buy a shirt. And so as it grew, and then that's really why I sold my business a year ago, was I just wanted to spend more time doing this, and I was just so limited as a business owner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you still have your merchandise for I Am the Freedom Fighter? Can you still go to I Am a Freedom Fighter and still get merchandise, so that by buying the merchandise, they can support your organization?
Absolutely. We still have it listed on our website. We still do local fundraising events as well, where we generally always have our merchandise with us. So you can, and that's always 100% of the profit from any of the merchandise that we sell goes to the cause.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so let's talk about, now you're going to help people, and now you have a foundation. You have a 501c3, and you have a vision, a mission, you've identified who and what you are. So share a little bit about that.
Sure. So, obviously, leaving the business, I've done a lot of just going back to, who are we? What should I be doing? Because it looks different now, right? I'm not just, having stuff up in a cafe and selling it on the side. How can I really dedicate myself, my time to this cause? and surrounding myself with our board and my people, my mentors, like who know me, and they are also passionate about the cause. Like, where do we go from here, and what does this look like? And the refining process really has come down to really is my passion is to ignite an army of people who are dedicated and have made choices to eradicate human trafficking, and really to encourage people that you can do something just like I did with coffee. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Not everybody is going to go volunteer to Safe Home. Not everybody is going to work one-on-one with a trafficking survivor. But there's something that we can all do, just like you said when you did the introduction in the movie, is that, it's overwhelming. It's really, really a big issue. And we can get overwhelmed and do nothing. I mean, that's what I do. Like, if I get overwhelmed about something and I can't make a decision, I don't do anything. And this is something, this cause, what's going on, the reality that we're in is something that this isn't a jump on a bandwagon. This isn't a minute side passion that we need. This needs to keep our attention because this is an important reality of what we're facing today. And it's God's heart in motion. It's like what we are called to do is to help those that cannot help themselves, and to be the voice, and to the homeless and the motherless, and that we're called by God to do that. So it's really igniting people to say, we can do this. What do you have? What can you give? Do you own a business? Do you like to do a certain sport? Do you like to sew? What are your hobbies, and how can you dedicate that to human trafficking?
Very good. And so when it comes to your organization, you're not there saving the women by bringing them into your homes. You're not doing that. You're supporting, as I understand, you're supporting other organizations that are doing that and serving that community as well, right?
Correct. So, right, we don't do frontline, right? So what we do is we support the organizations that are doing the frontline, that they're really, their gifts are doing exactly that. Like, God has placed them into their specialties to either provide housing, provide counseling, to rescue in some sense, right? So what we want to do is we want to do that fundraising part for them, to take some of that heaviness off of them, because we need money. Unfortunately, it is true, or fortunately, but it makes the world go around. And so if we can fundraise and help raise money for those organizations, then we're just helping, we're assisting, and we're also connecting people to the cause, because there is a lot of organizations that are out there. And again, it's so many, who do I give to? What do I do? And to knowing that they can give to a trusted source, to I'm a freedom fighter, and we're going to be the ones that are going to vet those organizations. We're going to partner with only the ones where we don't have a lot of partners right now. Hopefully we'll grow. We would love to grow so that we can support more organizations. But ones that we know firsthand the work that they're doing.
Okay, so how much of what you collect goes to help other organizations?
All of it. I mean, everything that we collect, with the exception of our expenses, which are pretty minimal. We don't have a paid staff member. Our board is all volunteers. We have a bookkeeper, and we have a very, very small administrative. Now I do most of the work, as far as that is concerned. So we don't have very many expenses. We don't have a building. We don't have this. So the money that we collect is going to those organizations.
And I tell you what, knowing I have a 501c3, it's the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation, and we've put it on hold for quite some time, because getting the people interested in holistic health, holistic treatments, I would love perhaps to have somebody fundraise for us so that we don't have to worry about things like that. So I know that everybody has a place. We're all the body of Christ. And, depending on where you are in the body, that's how you serve. But we're all serving under the one God. We're serving the community. And so with that in mind, what are some of the things you do to raise awareness? Because I know you do hikes and I know that you do courses. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So every summer, we support Atlas Free, which they are a global organization. They are in 25 countries, including the United States. So that's the organization that I hike with. And usually I can bring a few hikers with me from this area, and we can, do the same, raise awareness, fundraise for Atlas Free. And then we do awareness trainings, because I really feel that the more I learn and the more I'm in this, that one of the biggest causes comes from child sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. And if we can educate and help prevent someone from being trafficked, that's really the key, because to rescue, rehabilitate, restore, go through all of that restorative process is a lifelong process. So if we can change the current, change the direction to where we're actually talking to parents about how you need to parent about this and how you need to educate. And the child, the teenager that's going into the room and closing the door, and they have full access to their phone all night long, and the parents have no idea what they're on. It's like, we need to educate them and educate the children and young adults about really what's going on, because I really do believe that the Sound of Freedom opened a lot of eyes that have currently been closed, but it also opened it up to one type of trafficking. And in America, that it doesn't usually happen that way. So and people don't really have a true understanding of it. So we try to educate, like, what does it really look like for you in our homes as a parent? And so we do have we're doing some outdoor events ourselves this year, instead of just hiking. For 2024, we are planning a beach trek. We're planning a 5K race, and we're also planning a river paddle, a 20-mile river paddle. So we want to get people involved. And we live in a beautiful state where we have beautiful outdoors, and not everybody has the expenses to fly out to Washington, and maybe doesn't want to hike 24 miles in a day. But there's plenty we can do right here. And we can involve our communities, we can involve our friends, and educate them about the cause.
Okay, so you just said that, and I heard you very clearly, that what human trafficking looks like in another country doesn't look like the same way in the United States. So help us understand, what are the things that we need to look for in our children? And I am so grateful that you said parents let their children get locked in their room and they can play with their phone. These phones open the door to pornography. They open the door to being victimized. They open the door to be bullied or become a bully. These phones are wonderful. Right now, we're connected due to this wonderful electronic system that we have, but it also can become a dark hole for children to become sexualized. So, share how parents can get involved and not allow kids to go to bed with their phones in their room. That, I believe that all the parents should collect their phones for the children. I don't care what age they are.
Yeah. There's a host of things that people can do with parental locks and monitoring, and all of those things. Bark Technology is an organization that we follow, that we just send people there. This is great resources if you want to learn how to protect from digital devices. This is a great place to start understanding.
What's it called? What's it called again?
Bark like a dog Technologies.
Okay.
And most of the trafficking, that happens here in America is more like someone being trafficked by someone they know. And generally it's a close family friend, someone they trust. And for a lot of us, it's unbelievable. We can't even imagine how that could even happen. No, that's not true. How do people traffic their own children? Well, it happens every day. And that really is how, most of that happens here. Yes, people are still kidnapped and taken through those things. And the other way that it really is happening is through the internet. So, children are exposed. So the average age right now where a child is exposed to pornography is 10.
Oh,
And right.
and their minds are not formed
They're
yet.
not ready to grasp. They're not ready to grasp what they're seeing, what's happening. And so a parent really needs to have those really, really difficult conversations that you don't know how to have with a 10-year-old or sometimes even an 8-year-old, because if you don't have them and you don't have that conversation, they're going to learn what sex is from the evil, the dirty, the wrong,
The
that it's
perverse, yeah.
perverted, the perverted. And so they are going to miss that God created sex in a beautiful way between a man and a woman who's married, loves each other, reproduce. That's how they came. And they need to learn that from a really early age and know that when they see the perverted side, they recognize it and they're like, that doesn't feel good. That's not what mommy told me that it was. And they can recognize the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just crucial.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what are some of the signs that we as parents can see? Let's say our child has been seduced by somebody and they think that they're their best friend. Now they've never met each other, and now they're going to meet in a different location, and it turns out to be a perpetrator, someone who's going to that's not the person. I don't know the terminology. It just escapes my mind because I can't even comprehend it. I can't even fathom it. But that happens all the time where the children think they're going to meet a girlfriend or a guy friend, and it turns out to be someone who is now going to sexualize them and molest them or whatever it is that they do and sell them. So with that in mind, what are some of the signs that we need to look at when our kids are maybe not being honest of where they're going or who they're hanging out with? What are some of the questions that we can ask?
Sure. I mean, I think always one of the things is a change in behavior of your child is to know, are they more withdrawn? Are they spending more time alone? Are they secluding themselves from their friends more and more? Because a trafficker or a groomer is going to keep their relationship secret. So they're going to, it's a coercion, which is really, really very important today to understand the grooming and the coercion part of human trafficking, because that's really where our young people are at risk, is the trusted behavior of, you can trust me. They gain a friendship. They have a common ground. Like they'll go on an Instagram page and they'll see that, you like music. And so they'll start conversations with, hey, you like music, and so they have a common ground, and then it escalates and they just start friendships. And it's this process of grooming. It could take a year. It could take, longer or less, depending on the child. And so it's like anytime they're withdrawn, they're alone, it's like then need to start trying to ask questions. As snoopy as you got to be, because this is your child and this is a matter of life and death, and you need to find out what's going on. The investigative work that you can possibly do to find out who their friends are and who they've been talking to online. And one of the things I will say that through education that parents can do, or we can do through young people we know, is to, don't ever share whoever good a friend you think they are, or however boy or girl that you want to be with. Don't ever share a picture of yourself unclothed online, through text messaging, through the internet, because that will be used against you. And it's there forever. It never goes away.
I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine having that conversation with my child. I mean, I can't even imagine. And I'm fortunate that phones came into our lives when our kids were grown. I mean, my baby is 33 right now. So, so they didn't have that, but now 2-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, They have their own cell phone with their own phone number, with their own friends that they can text, and they go to bed with their phones. They wake up with their phones. They're addicted to their phones. They can't have a conversation. They don't know how to look you in the eye. This is something that is really dear to my heart, is the socialization skills, the basic socialization skills are being lost in this generation. And it is scary to me because the first 7 years is so important. These kids need to learn how to play and how to interact and how to touch other people. This, along with the 3 years that we were in isolation, or 2 years that we were in isolation, that is going to, we won't know the side effects for that for a long time. Now, another thing, as you know, I'm involved with Life Recaptured. They're one of the organizations that you donate to. One of the things that I heard of is that these kids get seduced by the groomer and maybe get money, make money, and they want to have other kids come, and they have one person who becomes kind of like their recruiter, not thinking that there's anything that they're doing wrong. But now these kids that are coming to them, now they're going to be trafficked, or they're going to be sold or submitted for prostitution, handled in a way that is not becoming. If it gets to that point in a child's life, those signs are saying that is withdrawal. Have you guys dealt with this situation? Do you know how to advise someone who thinks that that might be happening to a child they know? How do we approach them?
So, I haven't personally, other than, well, I guess that's not true. I mean, I have had my neighbors, people that know me. I guess I don't think of it like that I'm the organization at that time. I think of it, I'm just their friend, and they're coming and they're saying, what do I do? And it's, obviously if you're in an emergency situation and your child is missing, you call 911, right?
Of course.
But if it's just suspicions, is try to arrange different behavior in your home. Try to open opportunities to have time with your teenager, your kid, who, like one that I can think of was just a friend of mine that she found some stuff on her daughter's page that she wasn't even supposed to have a page, and they were all 150 men who they don't live here. She doesn't know any of them, right? So there was obviously some grooming that was happening, and I really encouraged her dad to take her out on a date, because what I learned, I wasn't trafficked, thank God, but I could have been, and it was just by God's grace that he had a different plan for my life, because
We could have all been, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't. Instead, for me, I gave everything. It's part of my story, but I gave everything I had away because I was looking for love. I was looking for attention. My dad was a great dad, but he was a man's man, and didn't really know how to relate to a girl, a daughter. So there wasn't a lot of affection, right, when I was growing up. And so when I had the boy affection, I was just like, I was craving it. And so I took me down a path. So what I encouraged her was to, have her dad take her out on a date, make her feel like they need to know what a man who loves them, how they're treated, right? And if it's not a dad, maybe it's somebody in your family. If you don't have a dad, or a dad that's not involved in your life, maybe it's a uncle, or I don't know, somebody that means something to them that you can trust, that is not going to abuse that situation, and try to establish a relationship, because that's really what girls are missing, and we're settling for what we can get because there's this giant hole in our heart, and really only Jesus can fill that hole, and the thing that we're looking for and striving for. But until we know that, we need some good examples. They need examples of how a woman should be treated.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. That's a great suggestion. We used to have date nights with our kids. We would have one-on-ones, and we would rotate. My husband would take one, and I would take, or two-on-one. So depending on what the situation was, we would split. So we would have that one-on-one time with our kids, and be able to. And then we'd also, one of the things that we used to do as a family is that we would have family meetings. And of
mhm.
course, everybody would complain about Blake. So we would have family meetings, and they would eventually become about Blake. And he's the baby, so he did a lot of things that people just didn't tolerate. And but then when we were done with the family meeting and we looked for solutions and how we needed to correct the situation, we would highlight one child. So
Mhm.
one child. And what we would do is like we'd call sprinkling salt over them, so that they become thirsty for that love and understanding and accepting a compliment. And so we would just like start screaming. We'd have like 30 seconds and everybody would just say wonderful things about them. It was like we would shine a spotlight on it. We have forgotten that our children really need that. They may not be getting it from their peers. They certainly need to get it from their family, because they've got to, we as parents need to model it too. I don't have to worry about my children now. They're grown and they're beautiful and wonderful. But now I look at my grandchildren,
Right.
and so it doesn't give me like, oh, whoo, I'm done, because
Mm.
they're not my children, they're my grandchildren and now my great grandchildren. So if it doesn't end. We always have someone that we can care for and love and show love and attention to. So with that in mind, as you start dipping your toe and seeing people in the community, do you recognize strangers that may be trafficked, that may be being groomed? Do you recognize that even as a stranger? And what should you do about it? Especially if you don't know who they are, but you have an inkling.
Right. So, the closest, like I have never come across anything just out personally, where I've seen anything that seems wrong. I have friends that have messaged me that something doesn't seem right. What do I do? So I would always, there's a 800, there's a national human trafficking hotline. There's a crisis hotline in Orlando. I believe Brandy has a hotline as well. But those are all
Yeah.
concerns. But if it's something that you feel like someone's hurting somebody, then it becomes a 911 call instead of it does take a while to get any response from the human trafficking hotline, unfortunately.
Really?
I know it's sad,
See,
but
but then again, you hear something like that and you go, why bother? But I do have the 888 number, 373-7888. So that's 888-373-7888. That's the hotline, National Human Trafficking Hotline. What about, because that's the thing. We don't want to falsely accuse somebody, because if we're wrong, but what if we accuse somebody and we're right? that's
exactly.
that's what we need to err on, being right. And whatever, if we're wrong, then we're wrong, and the name will be cleared up. But we don't want to falsely, it's like calling the Department of Children and Families,
Yes.
and all of a sudden, there's a neighbor that's nosy and they're seeing things and they're just getting involved, and then it makes life a living hell for the family who's a good family, but maybe the kid was complaining because they didn't get the latest, Nikes or whatever, and they misunderstood that as being abused, because nowadays kids have a very small threshold for discomfort. They don't want to be, they're bored all the time. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to, it just, the kids that I've seen,
Yeah.
it's not the same. It's not the same as our generation, not to compare and say that my generation is better than their generation. I'm just saying that our millennial parents are the parents that are giving birth to children at this point, that have teenagers at this point. Perhaps we made their life too easy,
It's just
and now they're like so busy working, making ends meet, trying to do all these things, and maybe not seeing that the kids are spending 9, 10 hours watching videos, watching Netflix, watching TV, playing video games. So do you have courses for parenting, or are there any courses that can be offered for parents in how to raise their children present?
That is a great idea. So the only thing we have right now is we include part of our awareness training does include how to parent through this. And that is one of the things is, like I mentioned, like understanding that, you know, how it happens and that the age that children are exposed to pornography and those kind of things. But to come up with a course for parents to really understand it a little bit better and going down, that's a great idea.
Good, write it down. Let's make it
Yeah.
happen. Let's make it happen
Great
because,
idea.
you know, I think that this is the root of the problem. Like you said, I had a father who was wonderful, but didn't know how to be a father of a girl. They were a man's man, a boy's man, you know, boy's father, but not necessarily. And there's a lot of little girls and little boys too, because boys get trafficked as well.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of children today that are filling their loneliness with television, with social media, with, you know, what's the latest on Facebook and YouTube and who said what and what said. So there's not that there's a missing desire. I know a lot of families that raise their children in the church,
Mhm.
but it may not be a void that's being filled. It may be a church that you go to, you hear the word, and then you go, and life is different when you leave the church. It's like, you know, watching television. Everybody, they're not sitting at the table together as
Yeah.
a family. I'm seeing that more and more. Like people eat whenever they want to eat, and they're like coexisting in their home. We need to establish dinner time with the kids, family meetings, so that they can complain and vent about the youngest kid. You know, there's a lot of things that we can incorporate as parents and grandparents, because there's a lot of grandparents raising their grandchildren too. So with all these disconnections, I would love to see something with you guys to create something, because they're not being taught. Children are not being taught proper manners, you know, how to shake somebody's hand. You know, they're growing up without that, and they're becoming so distracted with things that really don't matter. They don't really matter. So with that in mind, who knows, maybe we'll create something together and do
That'd be awesome.
a virtual course together to just help parents parent. And so if you want to be able to be a part of this, just reach out to me at whenyounneedafriend.com. While you're there, like and follow me on my website, because we're trying to bring every single person that we have in social media, we're trying to bring them to my website. And the reason why is that I am done for people controlling what I can say and what I can't say on social media. So why not bring it to my website? So please, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Not just like and follow me on social media, which is great. We want you to do that, but commit to wanting to have a different kind of life. There's so many things that we don't know. And you may not agree with my style or what I believe. That's fine. We probably have more in common than not.
Yeah.
So there's different ways that we can, you know, when you come onto whenyounneedafriend.com, I want you to please support my sponsors. Make sure you support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. Go to my Shop Now bag. My Shop Now bag has all these Lilly approved products. Also, the workshop, you can check out the different workshops that you can join so that you can start cleaning up your head, cleaning up your life. All of us, even I, need to do that as well. So we all can clean up our messes a little bit at a time, make it better and better each time we clean up. We could also attend the emotion code, body code with Dr. Bradley Nelson, November 3rd and 4th, right here in Cape Canaveral, Florida. This is going to be a wonderful course where you can like not only release your trauma, but the trauma from your ancestral trauma. You can help your children release their trauma that they got from you and their grandparents and generations past. So this is a way that you can learn. It's a 2-day seminar. We're going to learn the emotion code and body code in 2 days in beautiful Radisson Hotel in Cape Canaveral at the port. And so please consider joining us then. That's another way that you can empower yourself and help your family in different ways. So, and last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation, we don't care what it is. Sharing this video is helping the classroom because we are the 99%. We can surpass the algorithms. So do everything you can, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure. Everything will help grow the classroom. So today we have Jenny Pruett. She could have been anywhere, but she chose to be here today to give us a glimpse of what we can do to help this cause, which is human trafficking. And so Jenny has an organization. It's called I Am a Freedom Fighter. You can find it at iamafreedomfighter.org. I actually added the website on her name so you can see it there the whole entire time. There's merchandise, there's different ways that you can support this organization. So Jenny, and thank you for being here because you could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, especially I feel like I had mentioned to you, like, what can I do? I'm just a drop in the bucket of a sea full of kids that are being harmed, not just in foreign countries, but here in the United States. And we're getting more and more children come through the border, and we don't know what's happening to those kids either. So do you know any statistics? What are the statistics that there are out there as far as children being trafficked or groomed?
Well, you really can't find current statistics. So the most current ones are from 2019 from Polaris Project. They do have some, I just was looking actually on their website, and they have some reports, but they're not putting out any statistics of what those are. So, there's 50 million people in slavery today, which is more than there's ever been in history. And a quarter of those are children. 25 million children are enslaved today. So that's just reported, and we just need, you are doing something, Lillian. You are a freedom fighter by having me on the show, by having Brandy on the show with Life Recaptured. And that's really what is it about, is what can you do with what you have, and you spreading this message is so very important to your viewers to show what the realities are of human trafficking.
Yes, and if you too want to be a freedom fighter, then share this video with everybody. Share it with your personal page, and if you have a fan page, share it with everybody that you can, because if this is all I can do, at least I'm doing what I'm being called to do. So what are some of the needs of your organization that you can share?
Sure. I think I get a lot of people that, like I said, want to be involved. And because we're not a hands-on, we're not working with victims and so on. We have these events coming up. So we have a host of needs that we need. Seems like we're growing, we're busy, we have a lot going on, marketing needs, administrative needs, fundraising needs, and then just people to show up at a day of an event, or to be on a planning committee to make the 5K happen, to make the paddle happen. So a little bit of a time, or if you have a business, or you have a group of friends, or kids and parents together want us to come to your home and do an awareness training, those are powerful and they're impactful. And reach out to us and let us know you have a group of people. I don't care if it's 2, I don't care if it's 5, I'll talk to anybody. So anybody who will listen for a few minutes, it can be casual, it can be professional, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting the education out and helping people be more aware.
Yeah, and again, the website is iamafreedomfighter.org. So you said you have events,
Mhm.
and so what are some of the recent the closest events that we can maybe try to join in? They're all in Florida, right? You don't do hiking trips outside of Florida?
We do, but not these. So we're going to be having a gathering the end of January, and
Mhm.
we're going to officially roll them out. But a couple of them people need to have a little advance notice on. So on February 24th is going to be the kickoff, and we have a 20-mile paddle in the Indian River. And so that's going to be a sign up, an opportunity to fundraise, to bring a community together. And then in next one would be March 19th, I believe. We have a 5K planned in Cocoa Beach. And then in April 17th, we have a beach trek, which will start at Port Canaveral. And there will be an option of doing 10 miles, an out and back, or a 20-mile out and back. And same thing is it's just about, yes, we're fundraising. It's not mandatory, but we want to give everybody an opportunity to, because it's through the fundraising and it's through the campaigns that you're actually inviting your friends, your neighbors, your community of friends that I don't know into the cause. And so that's why we set it up like that, is that it's going to reach more people.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, uh, Jenny, how would they do that?
The best way is through email.
Okay.
And our email is Luke418 at iamafreedomfighter.org.
Okay, so Luke 4:18. And do you put the
At
colon, just a 4:18, not no colon in between?
Nope, nope,
Okay. Okay. So Luke 4:18 and I believe that's on the graphics as well, because that's part of your logo. So
correct.
let's talk about Luke 4:18.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just, it's what we're called to do. I said that in the beginning of this program, is that, this is not a bandwagon. This is God's heart, and it's his heart to set captives free, to help those that cannot help themselves. So this is a calling from God, and obviously we're going to all be more passionate about one thing or another, but you can't pick and choose different things you're going to support in the Bible, right? It's truth, and to the best of our ability, we obey by the word. And so as that calls us, like, it's a responsibility for us, and obviously that's my passion, but also to share that with each of us and to remind us, because we get busy and we get distracted. And so it's my job to just remind everybody, really, what are we called to do? And in some manner that we can be obedient to what God has called us to do.
Yeah. What came to my heart right now, I'm thinking it's Matthew 25:30. I'm thinking that that's the quote that I'm about to say. Whatever you do for the least of these, you did for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so remember that, whatever small amount, whatever small, we're actually doing for God. And so that when we clothe somebody, when we feed somebody, when we help somebody, we're doing that for God. It's really, it's like the story of the king. It's like when did we visit you in prison? When did we visit you? And remember that story? That's
Mm-hmm.
and maybe for those of you who know if I'm quoting it the wrong, just put it in the comment section, because that's just the story is what came to me, and I'm thinking I think it's Matthew 25:30. I'm not sure, but that's the culmination of the story, where we are all called, and this is, I think, the root of our problem today, is that
Mm-hmm.
we're not teaching our children to love the Lord. And the other day somebody had told me, no, we want people to fear the Lord. I don't want to fear the Lord. I want to serve the Lord. And there's a difference of, as a life coach, that energy of fear versus honor and love, and be there as a servant. There's a totally different energy that happens. And yes, I believe that if you want to fear the Lord, is that's fine too, if that's where you find your strength. But to me, my energy does not look at fear. where I want to do is love and serve God. And I think that we all want, if for those of us that are Christians and we say that we are Christians, we've got to be aware that these things that we can just be a small part, like I am today. I am just being a tiny little speck at what Jenny is doing, or what Life Recaptured is doing, or what the CIA in the Brevard County area and the police department are doing. We are all a part of the body of Christ, and we just need to find where we fit in that. So, do you need people to help? Do you need people to be part of your board, or people to volunteer? Do you need that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We've changed over a few different times in our board. We have a couple of people that have been there from the beginning, but just life reasons, and it's a responsibility. It takes time out of our lives, and sometimes people go through seasons where they have a lot to give, and sometimes people go through seasons where they don't have a lot to give, and I understand that. I get that 100%. So just any help. I mean, like I said, it really is on a different scale in a lot of different things. So I would say what I always tell everybody is just really to pray. Like what you said was, you're spot on. It's a love affair with Christ. Really, that's our needs to be our relationship. And one of my banner scriptures is in 2 Corinthians, where it was like, it's the love of Christ that compels me. Why do I do what I do? Is because of my relationship with God. And it's like, so because I love him, because I love what he loves, and I hate what he hates. And that really is the compelling force, so that people should just pray about, where do you feel led to you? We have, like, one of the things that's been on my heart for a long time, and it's there, but it hasn't really taken off the way I hope. So I'm hoping it's just timing, but a prayer group, somebody that says, I love to pray, and I just feel like I want to head this up. We do have a text prayer group that, we send out text alerts, for prayer needs. It's not nearly as interactive as I would love it to be. And just something on my heart that I feel like every movement has to start with prayer. And when you get a group of people that are dedicated to prayer, to pray for this issue and the people who are involved in it, because once you enter into the world of anti-human trafficking, it's very dark, and the gates of hell will come against you in your personal life, all different things. But if we recognize the battle, that's the first thing, is like, recognize where the battle's coming from, and then knowing who we are and what we're fighting for makes a complete difference of how we're going to look at the struggles and the things that are coming in our lives.
Very well said. Very well said. So we have about 3 minutes left before we need to say goodbye. What would you like for people to take away about today's class, about your organization? What do you want, maybe that we didn't even discuss?
Sure. Do something. That's our little hashtag that we've started, is do something. We can fill our head with knowledge. We can go see movies. We can, do all the things that, wow, that's really awful, that's what's happening, but do something about it. And that's what we really are called to do. Whether you tell a neighbor, whether you tell a friend, exactly like Lillian said, get on the phone, share this, whatever, you're doing something. Do something to help this, because together we can't all do everything. There's no way. But if we can all do something, how do you eat an elephant? One little bite at a time. So together we're powerful, and we can eradicate human trafficking. I believe it 100%.
And I hope that from your mouth to God's ears, because I sometimes I just like throw my hands up in the air and think, I know how it's going to end. I know how it's going to end. And I have been, because there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions out there. What's happening now is a distraction. What happened back then 3 years ago or 2 years ago, to me, that's a distraction. We need to be focused on now. We need to focus on our eyes, that I know that every knee will bow, every tongue confess, and it's every, not some, it's every. And that's what my eyes are set on right now. And sometimes, because I'm set on that, I forget that there is a now. And that right now, you guys need help. Right now, there is a crisis in our borders. Right now, there's a crisis with the people that are sold to trafficking, that are groomed. And so I do hope that we do something. There's a song, I don't know if it's Chris Tomlin. It's like all of a sudden these little thoughts, I'm like, oh, it's Chris. It's called Do Something. And it's like, if not now, when? So I'll put the YouTube in the description of, I believe it's Chris Tomlin. But it's about, like, I want to do something, but when? Now is the time that we get to do something. And, St. Francis of Assisi would have a quote that said, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. And that is what we're being called to do, to be a people of action, not of words. And so I hope that today, that now that people that didn't know that I am a freedomfighter.org is an organization to also help, maybe something you said today will say, okay, now's the day to do something. I can do this. So do you accept donations? Can we send donations to you? How are other ways that people can help?
Yep, absolutely. Donations are always good, like I said, because those donations are going to help other organizations. And you can do that right on our website, imafreedomfighter.org. Right on the front page is donate. Right there, go to general fund or whatever. And other than that, and prayer and help, volunteer help, those are really the things, wearing a shirt. And I think too, people forget that you can support organizations who are selling things and they're giving profit of that to an organization. Support those businesses, because that's important. That's what they're doing. So you can support them by that. And that's being a freedom fighter.
Okay, so we all agree that sharing this video today is doing something, but we need to do something else. So figure out what that something else is for you. And so thank you so much, Jenny, for being in the classroom today and for the work that you are doing to bring a human trafficking to an end. I am looking forward to seeing that day too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So.
Yes. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Jenny Pruett wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before